AITA for opening the bathroom door after finding my wife in a hotel room booked under another name? My name is Nathan Caldwell. I am 41 years old, and I am a civil engineer. I founded my firm 11 years ago in Phoenix, Arizona. We specialize in sustainable developments, office buildings with solar panels, housing complexes with rainwater harvesting, that kind of thing. I am not a millionaire, but I make a good living. Enough to have a house in a gated community near the Interstate 17 exit, a brand new SUV, and the peace of mind knowing that what I have, I earned with my hands and my head. My dad was a construction worker his whole life, and he taught me that every structure tells the story of who built it. I applied that to everything, to work, to relationships, to the way I observe the world. I see details that others miss. I notice when a beam is poorly placed, when a foundation has invisible cracks, when something does not add up. That skill made me successful. That same skill destroyed my life. One Tuesday in October, I walked past the reception desk heading to the elevator, and the front desk clerk greeted me. "Good afternoon, Mr. Caldwell. Your boardroom is ready." I thanked her, and while I waited for the elevator, my eyes drifted to the registration screen that was turned toward the hallway. A habit of mine. I am always reading things, signs, plaques, numbers. My brain does not turn off, and then I saw it. Jessica Caldwell, room 412. My wife, registered at the same hotel where I had my meeting, a hotel in Tucson, 2.5 hours away from our house. Jessica had told me that morning that she was going to Flagstaff to see her mom, Mrs. Patricia Bennett, who was supposedly having blood pressure issues. She said goodbye to me with a kiss on the cheek at 8 in the morning, with her small suitcase and her sunglasses on. Flagstaff was in the opposite direction. The elevator arrived. I stepped in and pressed 4. My heart was beating normally. That is the weird part. I should have been shaking, but I was not. I felt that calm that takes over me when there is a severe structural problem on a job site. A cool head, open eyes, a body ready to assess the damage. The fourth-floor hallway smelled of fabric softener and lavender air freshener. The carpet muffled my footsteps. Room 410, 411, 412. I stood in front of the door and took a breath. I knocked 3 times with my knuckles, firmly, but without urgency, like someone knocking on a client's door. It opened. Jessica was there, wrapped in a white hotel bathrobe, her wet dark hair falling over her shoulders, her bare feet on the hardwood floor. For a second that lasted an eternity, we looked at each other without saying a word. I saw the blood drain from her face, how her eyes widened with that specific fear of someone who is caught in a serious situation. "Nathan, what are you doing here?" "Meeting with the Summit Project investors. I saw your name on the registry. I wanted to say hi." I said it with a calm that surprised even me. She stepped aside out of reflex, and I walked into the room like someone walking in to inspect a construction site. The engineer's eye activated on its own, cataloging every detail as if it were a checklist. Messy king-size bed, sheets pulled to one side, 2 glasses of red wine on the nightstand, one with Jessica's lipstick mark, the other clean, a bottle of Cabernet 3/4 full. The air was heavy, humid, smelling of steam and a cologne that was not my wife's. A man's sport coat hanging on the back of the chair, dark gray, Italian cut, size medium. It was not mine. I wear a large, and I would never buy a jacket like that. And then I heard it. A metallic click, soft, almost imperceptible. But for someone who has spent his life listening to structures, that sound was like a thunderclap. The bathroom lock. Someone had just locked it from the inside. I looked at the bathroom door. I looked at Jessica. She was still standing near the entrance, her hands clutching the belt of her robe like a life preserver. Who was in the bathroom? Jessica moved quickly, stepping between the bathroom door and me. Her eyes glistened with tears that had not yet fallen. "Nathan, please, do not open that door. Let me explain first." "Explain what?" "If you see who is in there, everything changes. Not just between you and me. Everything. There are things you do not know, things that involve other people. Complicated people. Complicated people." She did not say dangerous people. She said complicated. But the meaning was the same. And that phrase, everything changes, that was not the phrase of someone asking for forgiveness for a typical betrayal. It was the phrase of someone hiding something much bigger than a person in the bathroom. I studied her face. The fear was real, yes, but beneath the fear, there was something else. Calculation. Jessica was thinking, moving pieces in her head, trying to find the least damaging way out. I knew her too well. 11 years of marriage teach you to read a person the way you read a blueprint. How long has this been going on, Jessica? Her voice broke. 3 years. 3 years. I felt like someone had dumped a bucket of ice water on my chest. 3 years of trips to Flagstaff that were not to Flagstaff. 3 years of wellness retreats, pottery classes, weekend getaways with friends. 3 years of me trusting blindly while I built a company, paid a mortgage, and planned a future that was already rotten from the foundation. Who is it? I asked again. Someone I know. The tears fell. Nathan, if you see him, you cannot unsee him, and there are consequences that go way beyond us. Open the door, or I am calling hotel security to open it. Silence. 3 seconds. 5. And then, from the other side of the bathroom door, a voice I recognized instantly, a voice that chilled me to the bone, not because it was threatening, but because it was impossible. Hello, buddy. Long time no see. Tyler. Tyler Bradshaw, my business partner, my best friend since college at Arizona State University. We founded the firm together. I handled the design and engineering. He handled the contracts, the clients, the bidding. We were a perfect team, two 20-something guys who started in a small rented office in downtown Phoenix, and, in a decade, built something that grossed $1 million a year. Except that Tyler was dead. 3 years ago, Tyler had died in a car crash on the Interstate 17 highway north of Phoenix. A rollover crash in the early hours of the morning. His car flew off the curve at mile marker 47, fell into a ravine, and caught fire. The body was unrecognizable. They identified him through dental records. Closed casket funeral at St. Mary's Church in Phoenix. I carried the coffin. I gave the eulogy. I cried like I had not cried since my dad died. And now, his voice was coming out of the bathroom of room 412 at the Westin Hotel in Tucson. Open the door, Tyler. The lock turned. The door opened slowly, and there he was. Skinnier, with a full beard where he used to always be clean-shaven, longer hair, and dark circles under his eyes that consumed half his face. But it was him, unmistakably him. Tyler Bradshaw, alive, breathing, standing in front of me in socks and an untucked shirt. Surprise, he said with a half-smile that did not reach his eyes. I looked at him. I looked at Jessica, then back at him. The pieces started falling like cascading dominoes in my head, each one striking the next with the force of a truth that had been buried for 3 years. You faked your death, I said. It was not a question. Tyler leaned against the bathroom door frame. I had to do it, Nathan. I was in deep trouble. I owed nearly $500,000 to a guy named Frankie Malone. Gambling. I started with sports betting, then casino trips. Then poker. It spiraled out of control. Malone was going to make sure I paid one way or another. It was not a figure of speech. He had serious connections. So I invented a way out. The life insurance. I figured $3 million between the personal policy and the company's keyman policy. I needed to disappear. Start from scratch. I turned to Jessica. And you knew about it from the beginning. She closed her eyes. He came to see me the night before the accident. He told me everything. He asked for my help. I could not let him face that situation, Nathan. So, you chose to let me believe my best friend was dead for 3 years. You saw me cry at the funeral. You saw me go months without sleeping properly. You saw me carry the company on my own while I dedicated the industrial park building to his memory. And all that time, you knew he was alive. Silence. And the inappropriate relationship, when did that start? They exchanged that look of trapped accomplices. Before, Jessica admitted. 6 months before he disappeared. We were going to tell you, Tyler added. But then I got into trouble with Malone and everything changed. Of course it changed. You faked your death, collected the insurance, paid off your creditor, and disappeared. And Jessica stayed with me, playing the devoted wife, waiting for enough time to pass so she could divorce me, take half my assets, and run off with you. That was the plan. No one spoke. The silence was all the confirmation I needed. Where were you? I asked Tyler. In Miami Beach. I lived under a fake name, working as a restaurant manager on Ocean Drive. 3 years of living on the coast, while I carried the weight of your ghost. It was not easy, Nathan. I lived in fear every single day. I missed my life. You should have thought about that before the lying, the stealing, and betraying me with my wife. I sat down in the desk chair. I pulled out my phone. My mind was already working the way it does when I find a structural flaw on a job site. Identify the damage, calculate the scope, design the solution. This is what is going to happen, I told them. I am going downstairs to my meeting. I have investors waiting for me who are going to put $1.5 million into my project. I am not going to let you ruin that deal for me. When I am done in 2 hours, I will come back up, and we will decide how to handle this. In the meantime, do not move from this room. What are you going to do? Jessica asked. I am going to decide whether I call the federal authorities to report that Tyler Bradshaw is alive and committed life insurance fraud, or if I give you a chance to walk away from this with some dignity. The decision depends on how cooperative you both are when I get back. I left the room. The hallway smelled the same as before, like lavender and fabric softener, but now the scent made me sick. I went down to the lobby, walked into the restroom, washed my face with cold water, and looked at myself in the mirror. The guy staring back at me had dry eyes. There were no tears. There was something colder, sharper. Determination. The meeting lasted 2 hours. It was the best presentation of my life. I explained the summit project with a clarity and passion that surprised even myself. The investors approved the full financing, $1,600,000. They shook my hand. We toasted with sparkling water, and we signed the letter of intent. As they were saying their goodbyes, I was already making phone calls. First call. Harrison Kane, my lawyer, a top-tier criminal defense attorney. He has a firm in the downtown area of Phoenix. One of those guys who speaks softly but knows how to navigate the system. Harrison, I need you to investigate the status of the Frankie Malone case. I want to know if there is an open federal investigation file and if there is any mention of Tyler Bradshaw. Tyler, your partner who passed away. Turns out he did not pass away. I will explain later. Give me that information in 2 hours and draft up the divorce papers. Second call. My accountant, Derek Olson. Derek, I need an audit of the company's accounts for the last 4 years. Everything. I want to know if any money was moved without my authorization, any unusual transfers, or payments to accounts I do not recognize. I need it by tomorrow morning. That is a lot of work, Nathan. I will pay you triple. Tomorrow at 8 in the morning. Third call. A private investigator Harrison had recommended to me years ago, former federal agent, discreet, efficient. I need everything you can find on Frankie Malone's cooperation with the authorities, specifically if he has been naming names. And I need a trace on the accounts where Tyler Bradshaw moved the insurance money. I hung up, ordered a coffee at the hotel bar, and sat down to think. Outside, it was starting to get dark. The lights of Tucson were turning on one by one, like pieces of a puzzle that someone was putting together. I was putting mine together, too. 2 hours later, I knocked on the door of room 412. For the second time, Jessica opened it. She was dressed now, her eyes puffy and red. Tyler was sitting on the edge of the bed with his head in his hands. I sat down in the chair, pulled out my phone, and started reading. Frankie Malone was arrested 10 months ago by federal authorities. Organized crime, extortion, money laundering. He is cooperating with the prosecution in exchange for a reduced sentence. He has handed over the names of everyone who owed him money, including yours. Tyler, there has been an arrest warrant out for you for 6 months. Insurance fraud, faking your own death, related financial crimes. Tyler turned pale. The insurance companies are already conducting their own investigation. They want the $3 million back, plus interest and fines. We are talking about more than $4 million. I do not have that kind of money, Tyler whispered. I know, which means you are going to spend a long time facing serious legal consequences. I kept reading. My accountant found something interesting. In the 6 months leading up to your supposed death, you moved nearly $400,000 from the company's accounts to an offshore account. You took from me, Tyler. You did not just take from the insurance companies. You took from me. Your partner, your supposed brother. Jessica covered her mouth with her hand. Now, I said, putting the phone down, I am going to tell you exactly what is going to happen, and I am only going to say it once. I explained the plan to them with the exact same precision I used to pitch an executive project. No emotion, no yelling, just the coldness of a man who designs structures that do not collapse. Tyler, you are going to turn yourself in voluntarily to the federal authorities. You are going to cooperate 100%. You are going to testify against Malone. You are going to return whatever is left of the money, and you are going to plead guilty to all charges. With full cooperation, your sentence will probably be 8 to 12 years. That is my entire life, Nathan. You destroyed your own life, all by yourself. I am offering you a path that ends with your freedom at some point, instead of you running until Malone's connections find you somewhere on a beach in Florida. Because they will find you. You are not as smart as you think you are. You never were. I turned to Jessica. You are going to sign the divorce papers without a fight, agreeing to no alimony and no division of assets beyond what is in your personal bank account. On top of that, you are going to write a full confession of your involvement in all of this. The cover-up, the inappropriate relationship, the complicity in the fraud. That confession stays with my lawyer, sealed as a guarantee, so you never try anything like this in the future. And then, she asked in a barely audible voice, then you disappear from my life. You do not look for me. You do not write to me. You do not send me late-night text messages asking for forgiveness. As far as I am concerned, starting tomorrow, you are as dead as Tyler supposedly was. Why do not you just turn us in and be done with it? Tyler asked. Because if I turn you in without you cooperating, this turns into a media situation that affects me too. My company, my reputation, everything. I'm not going to let you drag me through that with you. This happens cleanly, controlled, and on my terms. And if we do not agree? I held up my phone. I have the number for the federal agent handling the Malone case. I can call him right now, or you can cooperate and keep some semblance of control over how this goes down. Because you are going down, Tyler. The only question is whether you land on your feet or fall flat on your face. They looked at each other. Jessica was crying silently. Tyler's jaw was clenched. Did you ever love me? I asked Jessica. It took her 3 seconds to answer. 3 seconds that became the most painful and honest response of our entire relationship. I loved you the way someone loves a house, she said. Safe, warm, reliable. But I never felt for you what I felt for Tyler. Thank you, I said. Finally, something real. An hour and a half later, I was in the lobby watching 2 federal agents escort Tyler, in handcuffs, toward an unmarked SUV. He had turned himself in voluntarily. He was cooperating. The process had begun. Jessica stood next to me for a moment. Her eyes were empty. I never wanted it to end like this, she said. No, you just wanted me to never find out, which is very different. She walked away toward the parking lot, her small rolling suitcase making a dull rattling sound on the asphalt. She did not look back. I did not want her to look back, either. I stayed in the lobby a little longer. My coffee had gone cold. Outside, the Tucson night was clear. My chest felt empty, like a newly finished building that has not been furnished yet. Empty, but with a solid foundation, ready for whatever came next. 8 months later, I was standing in front of the Phoenix City Council, presenting the blueprints for the biggest project of my career, a mixed-use complex that was going to transform the northern side of the city. My company had grown, my reputation was solidified, and the divorce was finalized in record time, cleanly, with no scandal, and not a single mention in the newspapers. Tyler was serving his sentence in a federal facility. He cooperated so much that they reduced his time to 9 years. Jessica vanished. I heard she moved to another state, but I did not verify it. I did not care. I started dating someone new, an environmental engineer I met at a conference in Denver. Her name is Brooke Ellison. She is straightforward, smart, she laughs loudly, and she is not afraid to get her boots dirty on a construction site. The first time we went out to dinner, she told me, I do not like playing games. If something is not working, say it to my face. I replied with the same sentiment. That is when I knew things were going well. One Tuesday night, while I was reviewing blueprints in my study, I received a message from an unknown number. Forgive me for everything. It was Jessica. After all that time, after everything she had done, she had the nerve to ask for forgiveness via text message. I deleted it without replying. There are bridges that, once burned, should be left in ashes. I showed her the mercy of not utterly destroying her when I easily could have. That was all she was ever going to get from me. The city council approved my project unanimously. I walked out onto the street into the midday sun of Phoenix, the Arizona heat hitting the back of my neck, and felt a sensation in my chest that I had not felt in a long time. Peace. Not euphoric happiness. Not a loud victory. Peace. The peace of a man who knows that the foundations of his life are solid, that the structure will hold, that what he built this time does not have any hidden cracks. I lost a wife and a best friend, but I found myself, and in the end, that is worth more than anything they could have ever taken from me. Comment. I hope this story gave you something meaningful to think about. When people break our trust, standing up for our own dignity is one of the most important things we can do. Choosing peace instead of holding on to pain shows real strength and self-respect. Healing truly begins once we take responsibility for our own well-being and future. Be gentle with yourself as you rebuild after disappointment or betrayal. Setting clear boundaries is actually an act of kindness toward your own life. You deserve relationships built on honesty and genuine respect. Sometimes walking away is the wisest choice we can make for our inner peace. I believe every difficult chapter can lead to a much stronger and calmer next chapter. If you liked it, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.